bitter about Dad and usually avoided talking about him. I have no idea what happened between them, but my mom certainly did take out all of her frustrations on us. She always used to yell at me and my sister, telling us that we should be grateful that we weren't in an orphanage thanks to her, and that she was actually caring for us, like, how a mother should be. To be honest, after the things I had to put up with because of Mom, I would have preferred to be in an orphanage, because she was my mom just in name. Her acts certainly were not motherly. She was from a wealthy family and had inherited a fortune from her parents, so she never had to worry about earning a living or working. I was around 18 years old when Mom died in a car accident. Consequently, her wealth was divided between my sister Amelia and me. Amelia and I both went our separate ways after that to study and get a job. It was while I was in college when I went to an outdoor cafe with my friends. A guy was playing the guitar and singing there, entertaining the people who were there. When his song ended, people started going up to him and dropping money in a box that was placed next to him. Poor guy, he looks like he's homeless. But gosh, he's super talented. Such a waste. My friend acknowledged him, but didn't really do anything to help him either. For some reason, I couldn't take my eyes off the guy. He did look like he was homeless, from the tattered clothes he was wearing and his shabby appearance. But still, he seemed so charismatic, and he really was talented. I don't know what it was about him that captured my attention so much. He caught me staring at him, and I remember wanting to crawl into a hole. It's so embarrassing getting caught staring. But instead of being weirded out, he gave me a smile, and I couldn't help but smile back. After that day, I found myself returning to the cafe again and again, just so I could see the guy singing. It had become a routine for me. I guess the guy eventually realized that I'd become a regular customer and always had my eyes on him, as creepy and weird as that sounds. One day, he approached me after his performance was over, and I didn't know whether I wanted to run away or swoon. He made a comment about how he sees me here every day and how I keep watching him perform. It wasn't anything to be embarrassed about because he was a talented person, but I couldn't help it. I apologized to him if the constant attention made him uncomfortable or freaked him out. His singing and playing were just amazing, and I wanted to hear it as much as possible. He seemed cool with it and actually appreciated it. Well, after talking to him a bit more, I found out that his name was Ryan. He was a really easygoing and laid-back person, and I instantly found myself feeling comfortable around him. Which seems like I'm too trusting, but he didn't give me any signs that he wasn't trustworthy. We started talking every day after his performance, and before I knew it, I started liking him a lot. I wanted to ask him out, but my friends advised me against it, saying that he was homeless and would only be a dead weight. His background didn't really matter to me as long as he was a good person and liked me back. My mom had left me an inheritance anyways. It could at least last a few more years until I got a decent job and started earning myself. So, one day, I decided to confess my feelings to Ryan, but I chickened out and got super nervous, so I decided to go down a slightly different route, a more creative one, if you will. After his performance was over, I went up to him and gave him a generous tip. And by generous, I mean generous. He seemed kinda shocked that I gave him that much money. Even if he's an amazing musician and singer, no one has ever given him the amount I did. I was already knee-deep in, so I couldn't back out by then. "I'm tipping you to go on a date with me, if you are okay with it, of course." He just stared at me for a few seconds, but in that few seconds, I thought I was going to pass out. He then laughed and told me he would love to go on a date with me. All nervousness was gone and replaced with excitement. I was on cloud 9. I just couldn't believe that everything seemed to be going so smoothly. We went on a date, got to know each other better, and by the end, I told him that I liked him. You can't even imagine my level of happiness when he told me that he liked me too, and he agreed to date me. At that moment, I thought of Ryan as a genuine person who was hit with bad circumstances. I didn't read much into him agreeing to date me so quickly. I thought he liked me for my personality, nothing else. I didn't know how wrong I was. Ryan and I started going out after that. I used some of my friends' connections and provided Ryan with a bigger platform to showcase his talent, a bigger, better restaurant where they actually hired artists to perform. Ryan and I also moved in together, and I was happy as I could get. But this was when things started going downhill. It was slow and gradual, but it was there, and it happened. Ryan's behavior started changing. I noticed how he didn't have time to spend with me. I didn't blame him for that because we were both busy with our work, which was okay, but I also noticed that he would come to me only when he needed something. I was already covering all of our expenses. If I didn't have the inheritance from Mom, I don't know what I would have done. A month or so after I started dating Ryan, I got severely sick. I had to be admitted to a hospital. Ryan used to come and see me for the first few days, but slowly, as the time passed, he stopped coming altogether. I was sick and could barely move. I tried to contact him, but it seemed like he was avoiding me. I had a really bad feeling in my gut. At first, I thought that something bad must have happened to him, and I was worried out of my mind. But then, I received a transaction message from my bank. I was not even using my credit card except for my hospital bills, so the only other person who could have done it was Ryan. After coming to my senses, I decided that he had done enough. I was lying ill in a hospital, and he was out there spending my money and had the nerves to ignore me. Now, I knew for sure that he was a giant gold digger. He was probably dating me just for my money. But the thing was, I couldn't get out of the hospital even if I wanted to, and I couldn't just accuse Ryan without proof either, even if he was the only one who had access to my cards and bank account. So there was only one option left. I hired a private investigator with the help of one of my friends. The investigator could look into the matter and find out the whole truth. The first couple of days, the investigator told me that Ryan was out of state and he had changed his number. I was seriously taken aback. Even with all the proof lying right in front of me, I still couldn't believe he would do that. All while I was lying sick in the hospital on top of that. What kind of low-life, good-for-nothing, receding hairline prick would do that? I had made a dangerous mistake in believing that he really loved me. I should have known that he was with me for the money. My friends were right after all. Now I was suffering the consequences of my absolute idiocy. After digging deeper and asking around, the investigator was finally able to find Ryan and bring him back. Apparently, Ryan had run away from the state after stealing all my credit cards and bank account details. He was planning to take away all my inherited wealth. I don't remember all the details, but the investigator asked him questions such as, "What were you planning to do with Miss Haley's money?" and "What were your actual intentions with dating Miss Haley?" Ryan didn't respond to any of them. Legally, he could. He didn't have to say anything, so he didn't. I decided to talk to Ryan before taking any action against him. I deserved a darn good explanation after everything I had done for him and the way he had paid me back. His head was hung low in shame, and he was unable to meet my eyes when I finally confronted him. I had been finally discharged from the hospital, and I met Ryan at my home. He played the whole, "Oh, woe is me, parental issues, financial troubles, I'm sorry, my love, please forgive me." I would have spit on him if I didn't know any better. I'm going to paraphrase, but this is a summary of what he said. "My parents contacted me after 10 years. They live in another state. They'd abandoned me and didn't care about me at all. But when they contacted me, begging me for help, I couldn't refuse. They were under a lot of debt and were almost on the verge of becoming homeless. I'd been in that position, and I didn't want my old parents to suffer like that. Since I don't have any money of my own, I had no other option." I was an idiot. I believed him. Again, I wondered just how many times I could fall for his stupid lies. Multiple times, apparently. I told him that instead of committing a crime, he could have just told me about his parents' situation, and I would have helped. Then he started with the waterworks. "Oh, Haley, I'm so sorry. Please give me a second chance. Please forgive me. I never wanted to ruin this relationship, even though I did. You were in the hospital, and I didn't want to trouble you by visiting and supporting you, and instead opted to steal all your money from under your nose." I don't know why I fell for his words yet again. I guess I really did love him. And seeing him like that, begging me for forgiveness, I just couldn't bring myself to be cruel at that moment. Call me an idiot all you want for this, but I decided to forgive Ryan. I wanted to give him a second chance. I wasn't ready to lose him yet. I thought that maybe we still had a chance to work on our relationship and everything would turn out to be okay. A few months passed, and I was more and more convinced that Ryan really was sorry for what he had done. Our bond grew deeper over those few months, and we decided to take it to the next level. I was in my last year of college too and was ready to get married. Hence, Ryan and I married in a very small private ceremony and continued to live our lives as before. After our marriage, though, there was one more thing that I realized. My inheritance wasn't going to last forever. After paying for the hospital bill that my insurance didn't cover, wedding costs, and deducting the amount that Ryan had already spent behind my back, I wasn't left with much. I needed to work and fend for myself. After some online research, I found a business suitable for me. I was going to sell products online and earn profit from it. When I told Ryan about this idea, he started laughing. Not gonna lie, that stung pretty bad. I was like, "The heck are you laughing for?" And he was all like, "Do you really think that's going to work? Do you even have experience? Mark my words, this is going to be a failure." Okay, first of all, at least I was trying to make an earning. The only thing Ryan was doing was sitting back and complaining about how slow the cable was. Second, he was mocking me for not having any experience. Last time I checked, you don't need experience to sell things. If I could, I'd sell him as well, but that would bring up a whole legal case and I didn't want to deal with that. Third of all, if it wasn't for me covering him, he would be kicked back onto the street from whence he came. He just glared at me and was like, "I know that you're supporting both of us and all, but that was a low blow, Haley. What are you going to accomplish by humiliating me like this? Let's see how far you can go with your work." Okay, he was the one who mocked me first. I was just returning his energy. So he can dish it out, but he can't take it? There are so many things I want to call him, but I'll refrain. I was even more determined to prove him wrong. I put my idea into effect and started selling products online. The first few weeks, there was no response at all. But then 1 or 2 customers started turning up every week and got my hopes slightly up. I told Ryan about this and he started laughing again. He said something like, "That's not even profit you're making. You're just wasting your time and energy. 1 or 2 customers doesn't add any value to your business." I said it would get better over time. No one makes a successful business overnight. Unless they did some illegal things, but anyways, he just sarcastically wished me good luck and left me alone with that. Within the next few days, I realized that Ryan was right. I wasn't making much profit. I was putting in much more time and effort than I was receiving, and on top of everything, Ryan's words were discouraging me even more. Amidst all this, I received a message from my sister. Last time I saw her was at my wedding. Then she got busy with her job again, and we lost contact. Now, suddenly, she wanted to see me. I called her to meet me at my house. She arrived with a lot of gifts for both Ryan and I. I told her she didn't have to, but she just dismissed it. She said she was taking a week off to spend time with us because she felt bad for losing contact. Now, this is my sister we're talking about. I had no reason to distrust her, so I was more than happy to let her stay with us for a while. Ryan agreed, but he seemed more interested in eyeing the gifts Amelia had brought us. I wanted to strangle him. As greedy as ever, I knew he was quite materialistic, but he could at least try to hide it instead of looking at me like an idiot for marrying a money-grabbing twat. Ryan then brought up the inheritance money, which was extremely rude since it wasn't his place or business to ask. Amelia didn't really think much of it. She just said something along the lines of, "I have no idea what to do with so much money. I'm working and earning a living, so the inheritance is like an added bonus." Good for her. She was always the smart one. I was sure that she had made smart decisions, and that's why she was in better position than I was. I was slightly jealous of her, yet I couldn't blame her for anything. I was happy for her. I went back to my work after that. It really started to stress me out. Now that Amelia was here, I was starting to feel even more pressured to perform better and up my game. I lost sleep over it. I started staying up all night to see what I could do to really get into the business and increase my customer base. After a lot of research, reading blogs of famous people in the department, and all of that jazz, one night, I finally figured out the reason why I wasn't going anywhere. There was something I was doing incredibly wrong, and now that I knew about my mistake, I could fix it and give it another shot. While I was busy with all this, Amelia and Ryan started growing closer to each other. I really didn't think much of it then. I thought they just had a platonic relationship. Any other thought didn't even cross my mind. I mean, just imagine, why would I suspect my sister and my husband out of the blue? Anyways, that was that. Meanwhile, my business had really kicked off. I was finally starting to think I would become successful. My customers increased dramatically within the next few days. I had finally got the hang of it and now knew how to really attract customers. As time passed, my hard work started showing the results I was looking for. I was making a huge profit by then. I still hadn't said a word about any of this to Ryan. I had had enough of his deriding remarks. His opinion didn't really matter to me now. I was focused on my own satisfaction now. One morning, while we were having breakfast, Ryan said that he and Amelia were going out for dinner later that day, which didn't seem like the most orthodox thing to do. Going out with your sister's husband and wife's sister? I mean, I know it's 2020, but unless you're going to discuss what you're going to do for our anniversary, I don't want to hear it. I asked if they were going alone, and Ryan said something like, "Well, it's not like you have time to join us." He was very dismissive, and Amelia seemed to catch on quick. I told you she's smart. I mean, you seem busy with your work, Haley. We don't want to disturb you, is what she said. Then Ryan said some degrading remark about my work, then told me I should be more like Haley in the case that she hadn't spent most of her inheritance. And boy, did that tick me the heck off. I said something like, I mean, yeah, of course she was able to save it because no one spent her money behind her back, broke her trust, and tried to run away with her money. That shut him up real fast. I decided to leave after that and go back to my work. They weren't worth the aggravation I was feeling. I was seriously getting fed up with Ryan by then. I had only ever helped him up to this point, and what did he give me in return? BS. That's what he was giving me. Did I make a mistake by giving him a second chance? Probably. I was just wondering what I could do next when I got a call. It was from one of the leading media companies. They wanted to interview me on my success. I definitely couldn't believe it at first. My efforts, finally acknowledged? Unbelievable. It was hard to convince myself that someone was finally acknowledging my efforts and hard work. They were finally seeing my success. All I had ever got was Ryan's stupid, discouraging comments until this point. So, receiving a call for an interview was a really big deal for me. I asked them for more details. They wanted to see me at their office the next day for the interview. After thanking them and ending the call, I ran out to share the news with Ryan and Amelia, but stopped when I realized that they had both already left. I guess dinner came early for them. Why was I even excited to tell them? I hadn't told them squat about my business. What makes this any different? I guess it's kind of bittersweet to celebrate by yourself. When they got back home late at night, I didn't even bother saying a word to them. They didn't even look at me and went to their own rooms. I really didn't want to face Ryan, so I spent the night in the guest bedroom. The next morning, after getting ready, I was in a hurry to get out of the house when Ryan stopped me at the door. He was holding papers in his hand. I had a feeling I knew what they were. He said, "These are divorce papers. Please sign them. I really don't want to stay in this loveless marriage anymore." I had a lot of questions to ask, but at that point, I saw no need. Except there was one that I did ask. "Is this because of Amelia?" His response was, "Well, she's one of the reasons. I'm sure you know by now that she's better than you in every way." Nope, not today, not any day. I snatched the papers from his hands, signed them, and slapped them into his chest. I was going to be late, so I parted with only the loveliest of words. "Good luck with your life. I expect you and Amelia gone when I get back, and if you aren't, I'll throw you out myself." And then I left. My interview went well, considering what happened before, but to be honest, I was a bit relieved to have finally found freedom from Ryan. I think it was for the best. I didn't want to ever see his face again. My success only went forward after that. Now that I'd been acknowledged by the media, everyone knew about me, and my business was only growing day by day. I received a few calls from Ryan, which was basically him yelling at me for not telling him about my success and all that stuff sooner. I told him I didn't see the need to. He lost the right to know long ago, and he was all whiny and was like, "But you could have at least told me before signing the divorce papers." I calmly explained to him I didn't want anything to do with a lowly gold digger, let alone be trapped in a marriage with one. I blocked his number after that. As a matter of fact, I knew that he was with Amelia because of her money. Once a gold digger, always a gold digger. Or at least in Ryan's case, that was true. I was much happier in my life, and everything was going smoothly for me. Until one day, I received a call from Amelia. She said that she had something really important to tell me, and I would regret if I didn't listen to her. I really didn't want to meet her, but curiosity got the best of me. When I got out to my car at the location where Amelia had called me, I was slightly surprised to see Ryan standing beside her. I wasn't shocked, though. Both of them were giving me a look that told me they had something against me. I had a really bad feeling in my gut. And that feeling proved to be true when they opened their mouth and spoke the words that were enough to ruin my life forever. I really don't have it in me to tell you what they said right now. I'm still getting over the shock now. I'll let you know all what happened soon, though. Till then, let me know what you think of my story so far.